wrap up this talk, and we're going to start talking to Anita, who's going to fill us in on what is to follow. So we've heard a lot of ideas in terms of communications and continuing communications, developing resolutions, and thinking of a way to create a community of, I kept hearing the term watchdog, where we're actually watching policy on Africa within Washington, D.C. We have a lot of actors here, and we want to make sure that we stay within a network of continuing these conversations. And Anita is going to come up and talk about what is to follow this day.
Firstly, I want to thank everyone for sticking it out. I think there are about 20 other events happening in DC today. So thank you for being here. I think that speaks to what we're building and to the commitment that each of us have to building not just a movement between US and Africa, but a progressive movement that brings together communities from here in the US and connecting them to communities on the continent. So, to be frank, the US African Network, as Catherine has stated, is a small network. We're very young, and we rose out of a void of progressive activism and advocacy here in the US. So if you go to our website, you can read more about some of the conceptual framework that has brought us together. And we're always looking for new people to join us. If you're passionate about this, about building solidarity, if there are issues that you want to take up, there's space. And right now we're in the phase in which we're trying to figure out our next steps. We're trying to figure out, we have an identity already. We just don't know what we're going to do yet and how we're going to go about it. And we're having these conversations, especially in the fall, in terms of what we're going to do next. The proceedings were recorded and they will be posted on YouTube. We're also committed to putting together a report. The report may just be major findings, points of solidarity, points of unity from each of the sessions that will come out. Again, this is volunteer-based, so it'll come out very soon. I don't want to make any promises that we can't keep. As far as keeping in contact, we did have a conversation about circulating a list of the participants. We have everyone who officially registered, their email addresses. If you registered on site, we should have your email addresses. And there was a debate on whether or not people felt comfortable sharing information with the folks who've registered. I think we should share the list of email addresses, and perhaps we may send out survey. People tend not to respond to surveys, so we may make the executive decision to just circulate a list. We will also add folks to the US Africa Network list, and you can always unsubscribe. So that's a very vibrant community, and believe it or not, most of the people in the US Africa Network are outside of DC. Most people are in the Midwest, in the South, and on the West Coast. So our network is a lot larger than this space. So from there, you've given us, the leadership of the US Africa Network, a lot to think about in terms of what we should do next and how we can expand this and build this. But I think we've successfully created this space. And we're not starting a conversation, we're continuing the legacy of social movement and activism that began with the anti-slavery movement, continued with the anti-apartheid movement. And I think we've been quite successful in bringing multiple generations together. So with that, I want to thank a few people for helping us put this together. Firstly, I want to thank Bob Edgar with the African Studies Department here at Howard University. He sent me an email. I think it was late at night. You had heard the White House had announced in a press conference, it was buried, that President Obama was hosting his African Leaders Summit. He said, Anita, we should pull together a People's Summit. I said, okay, what is this going to look like with no money, no staff? We somehow pulled it together. So I thank you for your vision and helping us with this space. I also want to thank our sponsors, Oxfam International, the Priority African Network, the American Friends Service Committee, Trust Africa, the Africa Focus Bulletin, the Pan-African Climate Justice Alliance, the NAACP Climate and Environmental and Climate Justice Program. And I'm probably forgetting some folks. And of course, the members of the U.S.-Africa Network for putting this together. And of course, members of our working group from the Solidarity Center, Janet Checkley, Rufara Gawarda, she's on the West Coast, she's a member of U.S.-Africa Network. Of course, Bill Minter, thank you. Every week, Bill met with me at Busboys just so I can vent and try to figure out next steps just from a day-to-day basis on how to pull this off. So thank you guys. Louisa Mutali, Mathika Mwenda. Thank you, Mathika, for sending emails out to colleagues on the continent and even your colleagues here, drumming up support for this event. I want to thank Evelyn Salo of the Unchained Africa Press for also putting this on board as we're pulling this together. I want to especially thank Catherine Phillipson for sending emails out and recruiting people and being very strong with the outreach. You're probably responsible for about 50% of the turnout. Stan Reeves, who wasn't able to come because of a family emergency, he's in New York. He was also critical to the organizing. Nina Moses with Action Aid. I want to extend a special thanks to Anyango Regi, the coordinator of the Action Network. Again, we're a decentralized network. So she was organizing from Atlanta. She was organizing participants from Africa, participants here, all the way from Atlanta. And I don't know how you did it, but thank you so much. I also want to thank Prexy.
How are you?
Again, we felt that we couldn't pull it off. Prexy said, you can do it. So thank you for your fundraising abilities too. We really appreciate that. I also want to thank my husband, Derek Plummer, for helping this process. So with that, you have not heard the last of the U.S.-Africa Network. You will be receiving, not as many emails as I've been sending out, you will receive emails from us. Hopefully we will be having another gathering. Physical gatherings tend to be the best. But you will be hearing from us soon, and we hope that you get involved. Thank you.
We never end with just on this note. In South Africa, we used to end all these meetings. Amandla! Manuel!
Africa!
Alunta! Now y'all, that was a dress rehearsal. Now we're getting serious. Amandla! Thank you very much. Have a good year.
I'm sorry, we're having informal networking